In today's video, I'm going to talk about the blue card and how to get a blue card for Germany. The blue card is a specific type of residence permit which allows non-EU citizens who are highly qualified to live and work in Germany. In addition to that, it offers a possibility to get a permanent residence permit in Germany and also some mobility within the EU. The blue card is based on EU law. In the beginning of the 2000 years, the EU thought about ways to strengthen its competitiveness. One of the measures it wanted to take to reach that aim was to attract more highly qualified persons to work in the EU. To this end, the EU adopted a directive in 2009. Directive means that the EU sets out guidelines and then the member states of the EU have to adopt laws which are in line with that framework. The directive of the EU established a so-called blue card. The blue card is a special permit for highly qualified citizens of non-EU member states to live and work in an EU member state. Consequently, member states of the EU had to adopt rules on the blue card in their own laws. As I said, the goal of this directive was to make it easier and more attractive for non-EU citizens with a high qualification to work in the EU. But after a couple of years, it turned out that the directive did not work very well. For that reason, the EU adopted a new directive on the blue card which was supposed to improve the shortcomings of the previous rules. The goal of the directive was to establish a clear admission system to attract highly qualified workers to work in the EU. The system was supposed to offer faster procedures and be more flexible. It was also supposed to introduce EU-wide mobility. That means it should be ensured that people who had obtained a blue card for a specific country could also work in other EU member states. As all EU member states, Germany had to transfer the EU directive into its own law. That means to create rules on how to obtain a blue card for Germany. Germany did not just follow the EU directive. The German legislator went a step further and made it even easier to get the blue card than EU law requires, because attracting highly qualified professionals is a key policy goal here. So, what is the legal situation regarding the blue card in Germany? Under German law, we essentially have different paths to the blue card. The one thing they all share is this: you must already have an existing job offer. You cannot get a blue card to simply come and look for a job. There are other visas for that. The different types of blue card differ regarding the qualifications which the person who applies for the blue card needs to have, regarding the salary which the person will receive, regarding the kind of job the person will do, and regarding the experience which the person must have. There is one general blue card. With that you can do all jobs in all sectors. There are other types of blue cards specifically for persons with less work experience or for persons working in certain sectors. For these types of blue cards, some of the requirements are lower, but they come with certain limitations. First, there's the so-called big blue card. It can be granted to persons who have a university degree. This university degree must have been obtained either at a German university or it must be recognized in Germany. There is a procedure by which the relevant German authorities determine whether a university degree from abroad is equivalent to a German university degree. The relevant authorities also maintain a database which contains a large number of foreign universities and their degrees and offers information if it is considered equivalent to a German degree. This database is publicly available, so interested persons can check whether their degree will be recognized. Second, the person who applies for the blue card must have a job offer. I have already said that it is a requirement which all kinds of blue cards have in common. But there's a difference regarding the salary. For jobs with different salaries, there are different kinds of blue cards. The concrete salary required for each type of blue card is calculated each year on the basis of another law. That means it changes every year. In the following, I will indicate the amounts applicable in 2025, but you should keep in mind that it may be different if you watch that video in 2026. Here we are talking about the so-called Big Blue Card. For that, a salary of 48,300 euros is required. Finally, your job offer must be in line with your qualifications. Essentially, you cannot work as a cashier if you have a university degree in engineering. It doesn't have to be your exact field. An academic qualification in a technical field could lead to a management role, for instance, but it must be a job that requires a academic qualification. So, in summary, you can get a blue card if you have a university degree which is equivalent to a German university degree, and if you have an offer for a job with a gross salary of 48,300 euros or more. If you fulfill these requirements, you can get a blue card for any kind of job, no matter in what sector, as long as the job is in line with your qualifications. There is an exception to that rule, the so-called small blue card. In certain sectors, it is very hard to find highly qualified employees in Germany. That applies, for example, for doctors, for engineers, or mathematicians. The German legislator wants to make it easier for people who are qualified to work in these sectors to work in Germany. Therefore, the requirements to obtain a blue card are lower when you have a job offer in one of these sectors. In that case, you still need a university degree which is equivalent to a German degree. You also need a job offer, but the salary threshold is lower. It is currently at 43,759 euros. So the salary requirement was lowered to make immigration for people with qualifications in certain areas easier. I've already mentioned some of these areas. There's a pretty long list and it's impossible to name all of them in this video. Also, the job you have must be in line with your qualification. That is the same as with the Big Blue Card. So in general, the requirements are a little lower in terms of salary, but on the other hand, there's an additional agency involved. You can obtain this type of blue card only if the German Federal Employment Agency approves your application for a blue card. That means the requirements are generally lower, but there's an additional threshold. The same exception, the same lower requirements in terms of salary, apply to applicants with limited experience. Persons who have obtained a university degree in the past 3 years may also obtain a blue card if they have a job offer for a job which pays at least 43,759 euros. The aim of this rule is making immigration to Germany easier for people who would like to enter Germany at an early stage in their career. All the aforementioned possibilities have in common that the applicant needs a degree. But there's an exception to this for the IT sector. In the IT sector, there's a high demand for skilled professionals. At the same time, it is a sector in which formal education is often less important than actual skill. Or in other words, there are many people in the IT sector who are highly skilled, but who do not have a formal education in this field. The German legislator has reacted to that by offering a blue card to persons who do not have a university degree or a similar degree, but who have experience in the IT sector. They must have at least 3 years of working experience in the past 7 years. In addition to that, they must possess skills, knowledge and abilities that are comparable to those which are gained by a university degree or a comparable degree. Applicants who fulfill these requirements can obtain a green card if they have a job offer in their field and if their job pays at least 43,759 euros. As with other forms of the blue card, the job they have when offered, must be in their field of expertise. This must be generally in the IT sector. The law specifies in more detail which kinds of jobs and sectors fall in this category. These are, in short, the requirements for a blue card. While there are other types of residence permits, the blue cards offer some significant advantages. The procedure to obtain a blue card is generally faster than for other permits. It makes it easier to bring your close family relatives to Germany. It grants you greater mobility within the EU, allowing you to live and work in other EU member states under certain conditions. In sum, if you meet the professional and salary requirements, the blue card is one of the best and fastest pathways to long-term residence and citizenship in Germany. If you'd like to explore your options further, you can book a consultation using the link in the show notes. Thank you.